Hey, it's Brad. So, anxiety seems to be just everywhere now. Generally, the way most brains and neurons work, um, it's a simple estimation of effort, return on investment of energy. I like to think about how much energy it would be to accept an invitation to a party or to start working out. You can have your anticipated estimate of how much that energy is going to be and anticipated value of how much you're going to consider it worthwhile. And then if you choose to execute and move forward on it, then you have the reality of the situation, especially in terms of trying to get back into a workout routine, often exceeds your estimates. But the problem is those estimates are built on experience, firstly. And by depriving yourself of experiences from, fear of failure, you end up having no data to go on, and your evaluations are baseless. I mean, generally they're just based on, what you've heard and conjecture. And your conjecture can be accurate if your understanding is accurate, but then without the experience modulating the input, kind of tempering the sensation, you're still going to be overwhelmed, even if it's exactly what you were expecting. It's just going to be more real than you had imagined. But I mean, it's like the difference between seeing, an actor pretend to be a soldier versus seeing an actual soldier moving around, especially with a weapon. But then somebody like Keanu Reeves goes and blurs the lines by doing hardcore training and, really putting effort and energy into that because his estimate of the return was greater than what the effort expenditure cost him. And seeing how severe that expenditure was makes people love him all the more, because they can see that that means that it was that valuable to him to give an authentic experience, and really just that he puts that much into his craft. But the problem being, on smaller scales, you have, even with experience after that, your evaluation of an experience. We, as humans, generally just go with what's pleasant and then what's fun and what's enjoyable. But then once you've experienced something and understand, what it is, then your engagement with it happens on a larger level because you understand the outcome, the anticipated outcome based on your experience anyway. And again, the more accurate your understanding of that is, the more likely you will have a beneficial return, or at least a beneficial application of your assessment. Be able to avoid losses. But when your evaluation gets externalized, which is the thing that everyone's been noticing about social media, contributing to negative psychological states. People, especially kids, impressionable kids, are determining the value of the content of their every moment by how many likes it gets and what their friends think of it. And it's one thing to want to share experiences with your friends. That's a totally different matter. I'm talking about whether you consider something good by your own judgment versus the mob. And the internet is heartless, literally. I mean, it's anonymous cold data. Any system where you're interacting with other people on the internet is a system built on computers and cold data. And there are algorithms involved even without the big scary capital A algorithms, which hold different issue. Well, that's ridiculous to be freaked out about, but I'm sure I'll get to that one. But the data internally on your own algorithm, evaluating the effort involved in something like sometimes, getting out of bed seems like, man, that it's going to take a lot of energy to stand up and push my body onto my feet. And sometimes it does. And sometimes it feels like it will, but you go for it anyway, and turns out, you can push through it and you're fine. I mean, sometimes you injure yourself and your body was trying to tell you to hold on, but that's why you gotta listen. But again, once you externalize your evaluation, then that loop of determining whether anything was good requires additional steps. You have induced an additional delay to where your brain can't determine whether anything is good. You can't determine whether you're enjoying something until you check online. And you can't determine whether a view is beautiful until after you take a picture and look at it through 12 filters. And so, yeah, it makes sense that you're going to have trouble figuring out whether an energy expenditure is going to be worthwhile. Like, is it going to be good for me to, get up and go take out the trash? Well, in the moment, it's not pleasant. It's probably a good idea to do, and it definitely needs to be done. And if I can do it, might as well. And then that hits, positive notes on almost every level except for the lowest. But again, if your evaluation just never returns any estimate, then you become crippled with anxiety. I mean, your computer here is supposed to be more like, Tony Stark's, Iron Man's Jarvis, his AI. It's not, and you end up with the mopey Marvin, the robot from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I mean, viewing everything as a chore, everything as a task, yeah, it's going to feel like work going through life. And then when you do actual work, it's going to feel like death. But Mary Poppins had it right. You just got to turn things into games. That's why I've been into game design my whole life. That's how you should view things, to view those investments as, attempts to play a game.